Good afternoon, and welcome to our first Your Hour, Her Power campaign. In celebration of Women's History Month, today we are featuring three dynamic women who lead in their respective industries. My name is Dr. Gail Shorter Judson, founder and board chair of Dress for Success Emerald Coast in Florida. Our territory covers Panama City to Pensacola, Florida. Dress for Success Worldwide is headquartered in New York City. We have over 140 affiliates globally in 22 countries that have served over 1.2 million women. We are entering our 25th anniversary in June. The Emerald Coast affiliate is now that we're in is only 1 year old or less than 1 year old. Our advisory board boasts proudly of 6 members. I won't list them here. So let me just say thanks to all of you who were able to make it, our volunteers past and present, and for anyone who tried very hard to come on our web link and join us tonight. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Erica, our MC for the evening. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. And I want to just echo Dr. Judson's words and express my personal thanks for you being with us today. And I want to take today's time to acknowledge the fact that we're here to celebrate 3 distinguished panelists who have made profound impacts and impressions in their respective careers. We have representation from broadcasting, public relations, and finance. What each of these women have in common is the fact that they have a personal desire to pay it forward. And they really have put this into action in their lives and in their careers for helping women in need and underserved communities. And first, I would like to introduce our first panelist, Ms. Tamara Howard, hailing from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Tamara got her start in finance, starting her journey first by applying for a teller's position at a bank to make a little extra money to buy a home. She was tired of paying rent and not enjoying the tax benefits of home ownership, and decided this was a new and exciting way to try and have some additional funds for her family. Simultaneously to this, she also began a career with Mary Kay and developed her own consulting business, and was actually comprised of approximately 80 volunteers and 3 managers as well. So she developed a very strong network on an entrepreneurial business on her own, in addition to while working at the bank. And it's with these work-life experiences and her very strong communication skills, Tamara was able to work with the bank, and they acknowledged her, not just her excellence, but her acumen and the fact that they needed to move her up and find a better position for her. And subsequently, after 3 interviews, Tamara was fast-tracked to the role of assistant branch manager, and has also led to several upper-level positions in banking and finance. Additionally, armed with an undergraduate degree in engineering, she completed an MBA at the University of Pittsburgh School of Business. She's been blessed with great mentors on her journey, currently as the Vice President of Finance at Action Housing. And with that, I'd like to introduce a small video that we have showcasing Ms. Howard.
Hello, I am Tamara Howard, and I'm the VP of Finance and CFO at Action Housing. Action Housing is the largest nonprofit affordable housing developer in Southwestern PA. We have over 50 properties, and we serve roughly 4,500 tenants. Our tenants are made up of people of color, elderly, seniors, veterans, and then of course we have youth that have aged out of foster care between the ages of 18 and 24. I started and was attracted to Action Housing because of its mission, providing decent and affordable housing for those that are in need. And that's what Action Housing has been doing for the last 63 years. But how I got here, I started in banking. By discipline, I'm an engineer and worked at Ford Motor Company, Motorola, Bechtel Petroleum, and then stumbled into banking one day when I was talking with a mentor of mine who had just retired from a 30-year career at a credit union. And I was explaining to her that I would be moving to Pittsburgh and wanted to learn more about the housing market. And so she told me as soon as I land to go into my local bank and meet with the branch manager. So I did just that, following her advice. And in having conversation with this branch manager after 20 minutes, he offered me a job. And it changed my life. And what attracted me and kept me in banking was being able to help others learn more about becoming and obtaining financial wealth, financial management, how to buy a home, and then how to grow their businesses, start businesses, and then ultimately ending with purchasing commercial real estate. I've done a lot of that over the years, probably serving hundreds of individuals and business owners in my local community. And after going to grad school, I then was more attracted to something more mission-based and less corporate, and how I could better serve my own community and help others. And that's what attracted me to Action Housing. As a VP of Finance and CFO for Action Housing, I wear many different hats. Of course, I'm in charge of accounting and finance, but also play a key role in risk management, asset management. I head up the technology department for our agency. And more recently, we are expanding our data analytics department to prevent more fraud, waste, and abuse. This has been critical as we have participated in the emergency rent relief program for our county and city. To date, my department has helped and dispersed over 30,000 transactions, rent relief payments. It's pretty exciting to be able to celebrate that in our 1-year anniversary of being a part of the rent relief program in our county and city. And we're going to be looking at ways as the money winds down from the Treasury of how we can continue to provide rent relief and mortgage assistance to our county. One of the final things that I just want to share, and I just kind of ties my career together that we are going to be participating in, is we're starting a CDFI. And what that is going to allow us to do is find ways to prevent barriers for African American homeowners to be able to buy real estate without jumping through all the hoops that they typically have to go through in order to qualify. We have a team of Harvard MBAs coming in May, and we'll be sitting down and beginning to put together that business plan and to raise the funds that we need to have a CDFI in place in the next 2 to 3 years. This is going to be astronomically important in the Pittsburgh market, where there's a lot of real estate available for purchase, but African Americans historically have had a hard time being able to buy. And so being able to break down those barriers as a VP of Finance and help people that look like me to buy homes and attain home ownership is going to be a phenomenal opportunity for this region. So I just want to personally thank Just for Success, the Emerald Coast chapter, for allowing me to participate in this event. And for anyone out there that's thinking about a career in banking or accounting and finance, it's a phenomenal place to be able to grow and learn. There's just so many avenues and opportunities for any individual that has the passion to help others. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tamara. That was a fantastic video. And I'd like to now introduce our second panelist, Makiko Land-Tucker. Makiko, she's an exceptionally talented woman who is fantastic at building relationships and delivering success. She prides herself in being a mission-driven and results-oriented marketing and communications professional. She is successful at creating compelling brands and value propositions to increase visibility and engagement for her clients. She is also very skilled at earned, paid, and societal media strategies. It was definitely a huge pleasure to meet Makiko, and it's an honor to add her as our newest addition to the advisory board for Dress for Success Emerald Coast. And it's my pleasure now to introduce you to Mrs. Makiko Land-Tucker. Makiko, if you'd like to tell us a little bit more about your background, and the floor is yours.
Sure, everyone.
Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining this event. We're celebrating Women's History Month. And what I like about this series we're doing is this will live in perpetuity, because what we're sharing today is not just for Women's History Month, it's for every month and it's for every woman. Whether you're just starting your career, you want to be elevated in your career, we're sharing tips and just tips of success that we've had. I think all three of us come from very coveted career fields, from broadcasting, finance, and public relations. I know people always want to get into broadcasting. They think it's difficult to get into finance, and everyone wants to be in PR. And I'll just share that my journey, I started in public relations with the federal government. I got into a professional internship with the Department of Defense just days after graduating with an undergraduate degree in communications. And in doing that training, I was prepared to speak for commanders, write speeches, and really be the spokesperson of the organization. My career success led me to go to Europe, where I started a post there in Germany, in Heidelberg, Germany, and then took me to various locations, Ramstein, Landstuhl, Germany. And I was also a military spouse. And being a military spouse, you move very frequently. So I had to actually take a hiatus during my career. And one tip I would give women is whether you become a stay-at-home mom like I did, or if you go part-time, always keep your skills current. Even while I was a stay-at-home mom for almost 20 years, I made sure that my skills were current. I went back and got my MBA, which then helped me transition back to the United States and land a very nice career position. So internships are very helpful, mentorships, keeping your skills current, volunteering at different organizations. And, you know, in my current role, I'm the public relations manager of a city of Definiak Springs on the Emerald Coast of the Panhandle of Florida. And being a representative of a city government, my hands touch everything from streets and roads to water and sewer and parades and events, employees, HR, everything the city manager touches, I touch, to include our legislative stakeholders. So my job is to keep all of our stakeholders informed, keep them happy, tell a good story, while also managing the media. And I think it's very key. If I would give everyone advice, I know everyone wants to be in PR these days, and many are doing it very successfully as entrepreneurs, not even going to school for that. But just make sure you have the foundations down. You know, have good writing skills, good editing skills, know your AP formula, and develop your relationships with your media contacts. I've been very blessed and very fortunate and to be a servant leader in this profession. And I just, again, women, if you want to break into the industry, get your fundamentals down, think about internships, mentorships with different organizations. And I'm just excited to work with Dress for Success, because it's a chance to give back. When I started my career, I didn't have a lot of professional clothing. Like I said, it was days after college I started my career. So there was an organization very much like Dress for Success in the New York region where I came from. And again, just connect with us. We're looking forward to partnering with women and helping women with their professional development in their careers.
Right. Thank you so much, Makiko. That was fantastic. And now I would like to introduce our third panelist to you, Ms. Becky Taylor. Becky has an extensive background as an on-air radio talk show host in Denver, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and smaller areas like Des Moines, Iowa, and Phoenix, and Mobile, and Destin, Florida. She has a great love of music, and she loves emceeing jazz festivals across the globe, as her video in a few moments will showcase. A few details she doesn't share with us in the video, she's pretty modest, is the number of times she's been nominated for and the recipient of prestigious radio awards, including as a program manager, Radio Personality of the Year in 2007. And she's a two-time winner of the Colorado Association of Black Journalists Awards. Becky's a phenomenal woman. She's entering her 8th year as the MC for the Sea Breeze Jazz Festival in Panama City. And it's with great pleasure I present to you the dynamic Becky Taylor. So we have a video clip showcasing our friend Becky.
Hi, my name is Becky Taylor. I'm an on-air radio host and an MC for jazz festivals. Got my start over 30 years ago in radio. I've had radio shows in Denver, Colorado, Phoenix, Arizona, Mobile, Alabama, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and currently on Seabreeze 106.3 here on the Gulf Coast. And I'm also the MC for the Seabreeze Jazz Festival. I always loved music, so it's just a natural progression for me to get into radio. You know, radio has changed so much over the years. A lot of people ask me, how do you get into radio? And there's no one answer, but one of the things that I say is internships are a good way to learn the business. Nowadays, there's podcasting, there's internet shows, there's YouTube, and all the things that were not around when I was getting started, but you know, that just means there's more opportunity for people to do broadcasting. Most of my radio career, I've been working with smooth jazz, and being a part of the Seabreeze Jazz Festival, some of the biggest names in music come every April, and you know, over the years, I've gotten to know just about all of the artists that are on the lineup, and it's just a big smooth jazz party. People come from all over the world, and for 4 days, we just enjoy live music. I think the Dress for Success organization is just so important. There are a lot of people that just need to be steered in the right direction, and I think Dress for Success Emerald Coast, they've done a wonderful job of just helping women get started in many different careers. I always tell people, you know, you can have a job or you can have a career, and that career is that thing that you love, that you would do even if you weren't getting paid. So even if you don't have that right now, you know, take up a hobby and do something that you absolutely love. You know, in the radio industry, broadcasting, whether it's radio or TV, you don't see as many women as there are men. I mean, it really is a male-dominated field. In the years past, I've done mentorships, I've had interns, just hoping that we could get more women into the business. Nowadays, I'm seeing more and more getting in, and there are so many different ways to get into broadcasting. March is Women's History Month, so what better time to talk about the Dress for Success Emerald Coast and all of the branches that they have all across the country, doing some incredible work. So it's truly an honor to be able to speak this year at the Dress for Success Emerald Coast event. And so I'm on the air at Seabreeze 106.3, and you can catch me weekends from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m., just loving the music that is being played on the radio. I hope to see you at this year's Seabreeze Jazz Festival, April 20th through 24th at Pier Park in Panama City Beach.
All right, thank you, ladies. I'm so excited and being introduced to everyone today this afternoon. So I wanted to open it up to our participants, and want to let you know we are here also for open discussion. So at any point in time you have a question or a comment or anything like that, just hover towards the bottom of your screen below the video, and you'll see a little reactions button. You can click on that button, and there's an option to raise your hand. That way we can recognize you. Or you can also go to the chat function. There's like a little bubble that says chat kind of in the middle of your screen. And if you type in either the question or your name, whichever you prefer, we can use that to recognize you as well. So there's two different ways to go about that. So with that being said, just gonna kind of jump into our panel conversation here. And this question will be for each of our ladies, and just for ease of everyone not speaking at one time, we'll just go one by one as I introduce you. So we'll have Tamara first, if that's okay, Tamara. And then we'll have Makiko and then Becky, just so we can have each of you speak individually. You know, of course, we can have you piggyback off each other as you guys see appropriate. So just, you know, for our first question here, wanted to kind of ask, you know, how did your entrepreneurial spirit and your real drive for your own financial independence and as a woman in your career how did that start, that spirit in your early years? How did that propel you to your success later in your career? How do you think that worked out?
I think for me, I'm afraid of very little.
That helps. That definitely helps.
It does. It does. It's really helped me in my career, especially, going through a very robust curriculum in engineering. It's very male dominated. Oftentimes you're the only female in the room. 9 times out of 10, you're the only African American in the room. So if you're not bold and fearless in asking for help, asking questions, getting assistance whenever you can almost kind of lose yourself in that type of environment. So matriculating through that, having strong parenting from both my parents, as I hit the ground in banking, which is again another very male dominated field, there was nothing to be afraid of, just stick your neck out there. And although, even when I started, I wasn't qualified, from a resume perspective. And I lovingly joke when I mentor others that every position I had in banking, I didn't have the resume to support it, but I had the initiative and the drive to figure it out and learn the job, ask for help, don't be afraid to ask questions, and work hard. And so being fearless has been the key trait that has helped me to be successful in this career.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Makiko, what are your thoughts on the question for your success in your career?
I'd like to piggyback on what Tamara said. I have found that I am often the only woman, sometimes and many times the only Black woman in management in the organization and in the boardroom, full of elderly white men, whether it's engineering firms, defense contractors, and of course the military. I've always worked in all major dominantly male professions. And so like she said, you really have to be fearless. You have to have your own confidence, know that you're competent, and know that you are there to serve a purpose. And that is to do the best for the organization. In my capacity, it's to speak well for the organization, it's to get our key messages out. Maybe it's to represent the commander in a certain event, but it's always to the good of the organization. And again, you have to be confident, you have to be competent. And someone once told me, it's a skill set to be able to lead a room full of elderly white men and to gain their trust and to be able to direct them to do what they need to do. And I think that's a sentiment of many women in corporate America, especially women of color. We have to take on those roles. And, like Tamara said, she came from an engineering background, all male. I have 2 male engineers as sons, so I know. And, we've got to just get the job done. You leave everything else on the table and you just march forward. And, emotions aside, you just do your job, with your skill set. I know I see Becky shaking her head as well. And so from finance to public relations to broadcasting, oftentimes we are surrounded and dominated by men, and we have to have our own and know our own. You have to know where you stand, what you know, and walk in that with confidence. And like I said, and competence.
That's great. And Becky, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, I definitely agree with both Tamara and Makiko. I mean, it doesn't matter what field you're talking about. A lot of that just goes across the board, asking questions, not afraid to work the extra hours. A lot of times, unfortunately, they're expecting you as a woman not to be able to keep up with the pace of some of these positions, especially when you're in management positions. I worked my way up from working part-time weekends to actually running the Smooth Jazz Station in Denver, Colorado. I was the program director. I had to sit in long meetings. I had to do everything that any male in any other station was doing, because they just don't expect women to be able to keep up with that pace. But I pride myself in that. I think, no matter what the profession is, asking questions, getting in on the ground level, doing your research. I mean, find out what it is you want to do in that business, because there's so many different things you can do. In my particular case, in broadcasting, I mean, is it TV? Is it radio, sports, talk, promotions, marketing? There's so many different avenues. So if that's your passion, do some research. But going to college and getting a degree is not a bad idea. I always tell people that, once you leave your parents' house, you go to college, and that's when you set your own moral tone. You decide, I'm going to go to class or I'm not going to go to class. I'm going to graduate or I'm not going to graduate. And as you're setting your moral tone, you can also determine what it is you want to do. You go to college, you got to pick a major. And so go to college. And the best thing, especially in broadcasting, is internships. You can't get an internship if you're not in school. So the minute you hit the ground on campus, start asking about internships. Do a 4-year internship, try TV, try radio, podcasting, all of that, because there are so many people that want to help you. You just have to be that aggressive person. I think, for me, I was a question person. I asked every question. Well, why do we do this way? Never knowing that one day I was actually going to run the radio station. I had no idea. I just knew I loved music, but just asking questions and just kept getting promoted, surprisingly to me. But it's just I know promotions, I know marketing, I talk to the engineers, just whoever you need to talk to in whatever field that is. So whether it's public relations or banking or finance, there's somebody that will answer your questions if you're asking them questions. And it's always good as a woman to go to another woman, find out what she did.
Fantastic. So I've heard some similar themes from each of you, one being fearless and don't be afraid to ask questions. I know a lot of people often are scared to ask questions to appear not smart or dumb, for lack of a better word, but just being intimidated by not knowing and wanting to appear a certain way, to appear competent, and fearing that asking questions makes you look incompetent or look like you don't know what you're talking about or what you're doing, which isn't the case. I feel, I think it's a sentiment that I think you each would agree with, is that asking questions only shows that you want to learn more. And the ability to learn and wanting to learn more is actually a very positive attribute for any career field that you're in. And really only by asking questions will you be able to get that new knowledge and information to, escalate and rise in your career and be promoted into that next position. Because you don't know what you don't know, but you also know what you do know. Makiko, for what you said, know what you know. Yeah. But when you ask questions, you are now acknowledging what you do not know, therefore giving opportunity to increase your knowledge base and help to increase what you can do for either the current role that you're in or future roles, or quite honestly, even in a different industry or different companies. So I think that was something that was very important that each of you mentioned, as well as mentorship and internships. I think that's, each of you mentioned how important that is for the areas that you've been in. And I feel like that's something that I've encountered in my travels as well. Also, too, I'm just curious your thoughts on, I know each of you mentioned, attending college and formal education, how important that is for mentorships and internships and things like that. But what about those folks who aren't able to attend college at the moment, whether it's financial or circumstantial because they have to work or things like that? What other suggestions might you have for those people who aren't able to attend that formal education, either in person or even online right now? What are your thoughts and feelings on that?
That's a great question. And one of the things that makes banking such a blessing is that the barriers to enter the field aren't difficult. Like my mom shared, Erica, you shared in your bio, my only intent in starting in banking was purely selfish. I just wanted to learn how to buy a house. And so applying to be a part-time teller. I figured I'd be able to get that job, right? But honestly, if you can count cash accurately, that's the basic skill set for being a teller. Now, once you're in the role, there's a lot more that you have to learn, counting the cash quickly, accuracy. There's a lot of regulation associated with it. But at the end of the day, as long as you're reliable and you can count efficiently, you can begin a career in banking. And then the sky is the limit from there. I know a lot of folks that have moved up to the senior VP level. One in particular was a mentor of mine, a female, who was a waitress, and a VP came into her restaurant one day and had conversation with her, came back again, really enjoyed that conversation, saw how good she was in communicating with her restaurant patrons, and offered her a job as a teller. And within 10 years, she became a senior VP. So there's a lot of stories like that in the banking industry. And so you don't need the college education to enter, but once you're in, they will help you pay for it. So something to definitely to think about and consider.
I also, in terms of broadcasting, you really don't need a degree to go into broadcasting. There are a lot of public radio stations, public TV stations that look for volunteers. You know, the younger generation, they think they're going to call a radio station and walk in and sit down and do afternoon drive. That's not going to happen. You got to get in and learn. Somebody has that job already. But, you know, once we used to have a joke in radio that, you know, you got in because you used to be the janitor and you were just there, you know what I mean? And in some cases, that's the case, you know, just however you can get in, you come in through the promotions door, the sales door, however you can get in and just learn whatever you can. But public radio, my very first radio station was a public radio station where it was volunteer. We didn't get paid. And so, but it was just that love of music that made me want to do my show every Sunday night. And I did that for 13 years. So, you know, it's not always about making money. And one of the things that I said in my video was that, you know, if you have a passion for something, everybody has a God-given gift. Not everybody taps into it, you know, so find what that is, what your passion is. And it's not always about getting paid. You can be a painter, or for that matter, you know what I mean? Just have that passion that after you get off work, that's that thing you look forward to. And for me, it was going to that public radio station. I wasn't getting paid. I had a full-time job. I wasn't getting paid, but it eventually, you know, different radio stations, I turned the corner. And, you know, like I say, if you have a passion, that's great. To get paid for it, that's a bonus.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to manage staff. I've worked primarily in the healthcare industry in the past, and oftentimes I would have staff that would be visibly frustrated. I mean, anyone who's ever been to the doctor's office or has worked in a doctor's office knows that they can be very high stress, high turnover kind of places. And, you know, my front desk staff would often feel like they were, quote, just a secretary, or just answering the phones, or just greeting people. And I would let them know, look, you know, you actually have a fair amount of power in this office. If you don't get the right information from patients, you know, you can inadvertently hurt people, or bad things can happen accidentally. And, you know, it's empowering people with the knowledge that what they do is important, regardless of the level that a person is in. And I think helping people understand that each step of the way helps you move forward. And I had one secretary that I remember, she had just graduated from school. She was really young, and I was really hard on her. And she, on one of our one-on-one meetings, said to me, my gosh, why are you always so hard on me? Why are you always criticizing everything I do? Why are you always, you know, telling me better ways to do things? I said, well, because I know you can do better than what you're doing. But I also know this isn't where you want to end up. If you want to be a secretary for your entire life, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I will help you be the best secretary you could possibly be. However, I know you want to go to nursing school. I know you want to do these things in the future. And, you know, if you don't get these details correct now, you're not going to be able to do those other greater detail-oriented items when you are now taking care of patients on your own going forward. So I know you have this potential. And flash forward about 12 years, she actually became the charge OR nurse at one of the major hospitals in New York City. And she messaged me on LinkedIn. She was like, "Hey, Erica, I just want to say hello and let you know that I have this position at this hospital. And, remember that time that we had that meeting in your office?" And, she was kind of in tears, actually. This is a little traumatic for me as a manager because nobody wants people that report to you to be in tears talking about their job. But I appreciated her honesty and her vulnerability with me. And, she just wanted to say, I remember that time, and I thank you for being a little bit tougher on me, but also for recognizing some of my potential and helping me realize that I have potential too. And I think sometimes individuals forget, circumstances in life change, and you can lose a job or have family issues that are going on, and you begin to feel down on yourself and forget that you have potential, you have gifts, like you've all said, and recognizing those gifts and taking full advantage of that.
Well, thanks for sharing that story. What a great story.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to piggyback on that. I think what we need to recognize is we're in a different economy. This is a free market economy. And in my profession, back in the day, was you couldn't get into PR unless the person died. And it was so difficult to get into. I'm always asked, how did you get into it? How did you do that? And it was until that person died, that seat, was filled because people stayed in these professions. But what's great about this economy is you can become whatever you want to be. I mean, with the internet and Google, you can virtually learn online. You don't have to go to college. But I always say, I mentor high school students. I always say, it's not about your grades, but it is about getting that craft down, the fundamentals, the disciplines, and making sure you're good at those. Because if you want to become into PR or broadcasting or financing, you have to have the fundamentals down. Being able to write well, your grammar has to be on par. It's just those fundamental skills that you really need to bring into any profession. And again, the internet is a great tool now for online learning. You can basically teach yourself. And, I want to say, we talked about questions and being curious in any of our fields. You have to ask those questions. I ask the questions. I ask a lot of questions. You know why? Because I get a better story. And the same for broadcasting, and the same for finance. She can craft a portfolio for someone asking lots of questions, knowing who they are. So the dumbest questions are those that aren't asked. So be curious. And as Becky keeps saying, be passionate. Find what you're passionate about.
No, awesome. I'm loving this conversation that we're having here. So I don't want to take up all of your afternoon, although we could keep talking for quite some time here, but just wanted to ask you one last question. So if you could give your younger self some advice, if you could look at where you are now, and I'm sure the younger version of you never thought in some ways that you'd be where you are, or if the path changed, but what advice would you give, or some words of wisdom would you let your younger self know? No pressure. Anyone jump
that's
in?
a tough one.
Jump in if you feel ready to answer. If not, we could.
Becky's left.
We can let Tamara marinate for a moment.
Yeah, so
I want to hear what they say.
Me too.
You
go first.
I'll jump in first. I'll jump
Okay.
in first. I'll volunteer myself as tribute at first. So when I was younger, I was going to go to med school. That's what I was going to do. I was going to be a doctor, and there was really no question about it. I was like 6, 7-year-old kid. I'm going to go to school, be a pediatrician. That was it. Well, got to college and quickly learned that what I thought was studying was not exactly the level of studying required. And I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, if I'm not a doctor, there's nothing left for me, which obviously there's a whole lot out in this world that I could be other than a doctor. Many, many, many things. So I took a job after college as that front desk secretary at a major hospital in New York. And I learned things from the ground up, and I was, oh wait, I actually kind of like this. So I began to look at it from a different perspective of, I don't have to be the doctor to help take care of people. There are other ways to help take care of people within the hospital industry, and I can do this, and I like this. So I think the piece of advice I would give my younger self is, don't focus so much on one thing and think that's the only option you have, so that if for whatever reason that option doesn't pan out or doesn't manifest itself in the way you wanted or thought it would or should, you don't feel lost. Always know that there are other options in this world, and there are other avenues that you never expected. So even currently today, my main career is in healthcare IT. So it's not just in the front desk office management. It's helping develop these systems that people use to schedule and register and get insurance information into the hospital. So that's completely, in some ways, outside of the patient care realm, but it's still being very much involved in people seeing the doctor. You can't see the doctor without making an appointment. So even though I'm in IT, it's again, something I never thought was possible. I never considered as an option. Quite frankly, I think when I first graduated school, the industry didn't exist because most things were still on paper back then. But it's just being open to the possibility and not pigeonholing yourself, and also not being so down on yourself that, oh wait, if this didn't work out, I have nothing left. No, we always have options. There's always choices out there. So that's my story. Anybody else got their younger self?
I'll attempt. So I think for me, as I was growing up and I would watch my dad, my dad would read the paper from cover to cover every single day. Day wouldn't start without reading the paper. And somewhere along the line, I picked that up, and I just realized that you don't know everything, but it's nice to know a little bit about a lot. You can take that with you through any field. I don't care what it is. But especially when you're communicating, you really need to know a little bit about a lot. So you can talk about world events, you can talk about local events. I always would, this is because I've spoken to a lot of college classes and my interns and people that I've mentored. I would tell people, I wish somebody had told me, just read out loud, just see how natural you can be, because people think you turn your microphone on and you put on your radio voice. No, this is my voice. There's no radio voice. So, it's just get comfortable with your own voice. Somebody had said that to me because there was a while, I didn't like hearing my stuff played back. I do a lot of commercial production now, and I can record it 10 times and think, okay, I don't like that one. Let me do it one more time, So just the confidence that you have in yourself, and make yourself feel good. Like, don't ever do something just to get it over with. Do it and be happy with. That's the advice I would give, is do it and make sure you're happy with it. No matter what it is. Just don't, well, I got to knock this out in 30 minutes. No. Even if it takes you an hour, you should absolutely, whatever you turn in, make it be your best.
Agreed. That's very good advice.
I'd agree.
Ladies, come on.
Yeah, man.
I go next. I grew up in the New York, New Jersey area and around a very diverse population, and I always wanted to learn languages. I wanted to be a linguist. I wanted to be an interpreter at the UN, as well as going to law school. And I was very shy. Very much an introvert, very much a wallflower. And I didn't realize that would put me in the public eye. Fast forward to today, I cannot believe I'm here. I still ask God, why did you put me here? I'm an introvert. I'm shy. I keep arguing with my maker. You don't understand. I always wanted to be behind the camera. I always wanted to be orchestrating and producing things. And again, I think I would tell my younger self, get over myself, right? And figure out what I like to do and what I'm good at. I was always good at writing. I was always good at grammar. I was always good at languages. I could speak like 3 or 4 languages. And to realize, kind of like you said, Erica, don't pigeonhole myself into one thing. There's such a world of opportunity and so many different career paths you can take. But look at what you're passionate. Look at what you're really good at, and just let the doors open to you. I hid a long time because I didn't want to be up front. I hid behind my commanders. I'll write your speeches. I'll give you your bullet points, but I don't want to go. You go. And here I am being the face of organizations. You know, they say we make our plans and God laughs. Well, you know, it does happen. And I think if we just let the tide take us, with some strategies, you know, along the way, we'll find ourselves where we're supposed to be, where the fit is best, like Becky said. You know, what you're passionate about.
Yep. Okay, Tamara, you're our last one here.
So I've reflected on this question often, especially as I've aged over the years. And the interesting thing is that there isn't very much I would change. I'm very satisfied with my career path in banking, and then my time with Mary Kay. I learned so much about entrepreneurship and, you know, working with teams and people. And so when I think back to those engineering years, the only thing that I would change there would be, I wish I would have gotten out of my own way and gotten through that process of learning faster. I took my time in school. And there's no real reason why. I know my parents, I know, were like, quickly, get out, get in, get out, you know, and I would get involved with so many other things, and it just kind of dragged out the process of completion, only for me to enter grad school as a married person, working a full-time job, raising a 10-year-old, and completing my MBA in 18 months. And I'm like, wow, imagine if I had that type of focus and determination in grad school as I did, in undergrad as I did in grad school. I really just didn't get out of my own way. And that's what I would tell myself. You know, learn what you need to learn, do what you need to do, experience what you need to experience, but don't drag it out. You know, you have a full life ahead of you, go live it.
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation, and I really appreciate you ladies for sharing your experiences and sharing about your careers and your lives with us this afternoon. And I want to turn this back over to our founder and our president, Dr. Judson, and we can wrap up our program for this afternoon. But thank you, ladies, so much. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. This was really engaging, and I think it'll go a long way. We'll use this video on YouTube and our social media and some of our workshops going forward, because I think you all have given us so much to think about, and it's good information for the younger women coming along. We have, so I have some gift certificates, a little prize for the youngest person on the line. I think that would be Kia. She may not want to speak or maybe ask a question, but she is on the line. I've met her recently. So Kia, I have a little gift certificate for you at TJ Maxx, and I'll make sure I get it to you and make sure you get to TJ Maxx so you can spend it. And Carolyn, we're so grateful that you're on the call with us today as well. You were the first one on the call, even though what we did, we were somewhere, we don't know where we were. We were on another channel. We had to come back over here to find you. But we have a dinner for two at Carrabba's, Italian grill here in Sandestin. So I hope you will enjoy it. And if you'd like to say a word or two, you're welcome to unmute yourself and say something to us if you'd like.
Yeah, thank you so much. Excellent things I heard, especially just what the women shared about being fearless and confident. I found that, especially this last year in my life, in just different positions as I try to advance in real estate, those things have been clutch. And to see these women have success and not be afraid. I had my team leader even say, because I felt like I was like asking questions, oh, hey, I need to talk about this. And he said, that's what we want. And I was so glad I wasn't afraid at that time to do it, because I thought it would maybe be something that was seen as a negative, but it was to him it was a positive. And when I hear you guys all say to confirm that, I've seen that happen, and felt like a newbie myself, but he's like, no, this is what we want. And I've seen it in just a short time, being able to grow and advance in just a year alone, 6 months alone. So what you guys have said, I've seen happen for myself just these last few months. And you're exactly right. That's what it takes to I guess to succeed, and also to just grow in your passion. So what these women have shared today has been phenomenal, and take a lot of it to heart. It's a great encouragement.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kia, did you want to unmute and say a word or two, or you want to, we'll see each other another time. I'll give it a second. Okay, we'll let it go. Okay, so I want to go back and thank all of our guest speakers again for taking time to just for spending time with us. Becky, oh my God, we love you dearly. We've already made an offer to you for some other things. Please consider.
We will talk.
We will talk. Okay, Makiko, we appreciate you. I found out about Makiko and found her on LinkedIn and offered her to come on as a speaker. And before you know it, we have her on our board as well. So, and Makiko has just jumped right in, and she's done a fantastic job for us. And of course, Tammy, my daughter, my oldest child, I appreciate you. I think you've done a remarkable thing with your life. I think you've been really climbing hard. I don't know, your dad is sitting here listening to this. I'll have to take him out to some bistro or somewhere, because he's the diversity right now. He's the only male on this call, I believe. But if you want to unmute, Judd, you're welcome to say something, a few words. He didn't know how to unmute. That's great. He was raised by women, so that's from being around women. If you want, Judd, do you want to unmute and say a word or two? He's also on our board. I guess he's not going to.
No.
All right. Well, thank you so very, very much. And Becky, once again, we will see you at the Sea Breeze Jazz Festival.
Yes, definitely. And it has been an honor. So thank you. You know, if one person hears something good, you know, you're doing some great work, and it's fantastic to see that you've launched this organization, and it's just so important. So kudos to you and your team. Tamara, Makiko, incredible women. So what an honor to be on the panel with you, and to get to hear your stories too. I'm inspired.
Okay. Michelle, did you want to say anything?
Just thank you very much for the opportunity just to be again in the midst of women who are really doing great and wonderful things, and being part, just looking for volunteers to assist with Dress for Success is just wonderful. Appreciate Carolyn coming on. We met during the Shelter House fundraising, and it was just a really, really great connection. So I appreciate you coming on, and Dr. Guts, really appreciate you just starting this event and allowing us to participate. So it's been a blessing. And as we all know, God blesses us so that we can bless others. And so with that spirit of how you put the team together, I know we'll be a blessing to all.
That's true. And one last thing, Erica, she did a fantastic job, because that's usually the position I'm in. She's going to take my job.
Oh, definitely not, but thank you very much for the compliment.
Know who to call when I'm ready to retire.
That sounds good.
Okay, well, thank you so very much. For me, that's a wrap. What about you, Erica?
Yes, I feel the same. Again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated, and it was a pleasure for me to be a part of this as well. So thank you all, and have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon.
Okay.